Hello, and welcome to the Change of Officers and Directors Amendment Application Guide for for-profit entities. This video will walk through the entire application process for changing the officers and directors on an ABCC retail license and highlight what needs to be included in the application packet before being submitted. To access the Change of Officers and Directors Amendment application from the ABCC homepage, scroll to the What Would You Like to Do section and click Alcoholic Beverages Retail Licenses. You will then be directed to the Retail Licenses page. Under Top Tasks, click Amend a Retail License. The Amend a Retail License page includes a table of contents with all the amendments you can make to your license. Click Change in Beneficial Interest in the table of contents. You will then be directed to the Change in Beneficial Interest section of the page. Click Amend your alcoholic beverage retail license, Change in Beneficial Interest. The Change in Beneficial Interest page includes the PDF links to the Change of Officers Stock or Ownership Interest application and the blank copy of the CORI authorization form. It also includes a link to the Multiple Transaction application. If you wish to make multiple amendments to your license in addition to the Change of Officers and Directors amendment, you may fill out the Multiple Transaction application and complete the applicable sections. Always make sure that the materials required for each amendment are included in your application packet before being submitted. Before starting the application, please review this page for important information about the application process. The application is first submitted to the local licensing authorities, or LLA for short. This is the municipal office responsible for the initial approval and issuance of retail licenses and typically consists of the city or town's licensing commission or select board. LLAs may have additional requirements for change of officers and directors amendment applications. So, it's important to contact the local licensing authority that your application will be submitted to before submitting it for any information about their local application processes. The first page of the Change of Officers Stock or Ownership Interest Application PDF is the ABCC's Monetary Transmittal form. The $200 filing fee can be paid through the ABCC's ePay system. The link is included in the form and is also in the description below. After you submit the payment, please include a copy of the receipt in the application packet. Complete all fields, including the ABCC license number. Also, check off Change of Officers/Directors/LLC Manager's license transaction type at the bottom of the form. The first page of the amendment application lists the required documents for each change of beneficial interest amendment. Please review the required documents for the Change of Officers/Directors/LLC Manager's amendment. The monetary transmittal form, the Change of Officers/Directors application, and the vote of entity are included in this PDF file. This page also includes Question 1 of the amendment application. Question 1 asks for the business entity information and the application contact information. The business entity information should reflect the entity information within the Massachusetts Secretary of the Commonwealth's records. The application contact is the person that the local licensing authorities and the ABCC should contact regarding this application. Please make sure that the section is filled out completely. On page 2 of the amendment application, Question 2 asks for a list of all individuals or entities that will have indirect or direct, beneficial or financial interest in the license. This includes stockholders, officers, directors, LLC managers, and etc. The individuals and titles should match the Secretary of the Commonwealth's files for the entity. Please make sure that this is fully completed. Attached additional pages provided if necessary utilizing Addendum A. This can be found on the last page of the amendment application. The individuals identified in this section and the proposed manager of record must complete a CORI release form. Please note that at least 50% of the directors or LLC managers on a Section 12 on-premise license must be U.S. citizens, and that all directors and LLC managers on a Section 15 off-premise license must be U.S. citizens. If you are applying as a multi-tiered organization, please attach a flowchart identifying each corporate interest and the individual owners of each entity, as well as the articles of organization for each corporate entity. Every individual must be identified in Addendum A. Please make sure that the name, address, social security number, date of birth, title/position, percentage of ownership is listed for each individual. Also make sure to indicate yes or no on the director/LLC manager, U.S. citizen, and Massachusetts resident fields. Please indicate if any individual listed in question 6 has a criminal history on the bottom of the form. Please include the business structure documents for this entity in the application packet. If the entity is a sole proprietorship, please provide a business certificate. If the entity is a partnership, please provide a partnership agreement. If the entity is a corporation or LLC, please provide the articles of organization from the Secretary of the Commonwealth. On page 3 of the amendment application, question 3 asks for a list of the individuals and entities of the current ownership. Please attach additional pages if necessary, utilizing the format on the application. Question 4 asks if any individual or entity identified in question 2 and applicable attachments have any direct or indirect, beneficial or financial interest in any other license to sell alcoholic beverages. If there are, check off yes, and list the name, license type, license name, and municipality of the licenses that the individuals and/or entities in question 2 have interest in. You may attach additional pages utilizing the same table format to answer this question fully if necessary. If none of the individuals or entities in question 2 have interest in another license, you may check no and leave this table blank. Question 5 asks if any individuals or entities in question 2 and applicable attachments have ever held direct or indirect, beneficial or financial interest in a license to sell alcoholic beverages which is not presently held. If there are, check off yes and list the name, license type, license name, and municipality of the licenses that the individuals and/or entities in question 2 have held interest in. You may attach additional pages utilizing the same table format to answer this question fully if necessary. If none, you may check no and leave this section blank. Question 6 asks if any of the licenses listed in question 4 or 5 have ever been suspended, revoked, or canceled. If there are, check off yes and list the date of action, license name, city, and reason for suspension, revocation, or cancellation of the licenses in questions 4 or 5 that have ever been suspended, revoked, or canceled. You may attach additional pages utilizing the same table format to answer this question fully if necessary. If none, you may check no and leave this section blank. On page 4, question 7 asks for the financial disclosure. Please list all costs associated with the license transaction. This includes, but not limited to, the property price, business assets, renovation costs, construction costs, initial startup costs, and inventory costs. You must also list the source of cash contribution, including the name of the contributor and the amount contributed. Please provide documentation of available funds in the application packet. This may include bank statements, bank letters, and etc. You must also list the source of financing, including the lender, the amount, and the type of financing. Please check off if the lender is an alcoholic beverage licensee pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 138. Finally, provide a detailed description of the forms or sources of financing for the cost listed above. This page allows the applicant to add additional information to the application. If the information in this section pertains to a specific question on the application, please note the question number in this field. Please review and complete the applicant statement. This must be completed by an authorized signatory, which includes the sole proprietor, partner, corporate principal, or LLC/LLP manager of the entity or corporation. The authorized signatory must provide their signature and title along with the date that this was filled out. Please complete the entity vote form that authorizes this application to be submitted on the entity's behalf and to appoint the proposed license manager. A corporate officer or LLC manager must provide their signature at the bottom of the form. Corporations must also provide a signature and name of the corporation clerk at the bottom of the form. Please fill out Addendum A if you need to list more principles than question 2 on page 2 allows. You may attach as many Addendum A documents as you need to the application packet. Once the application forms are completed, please make sure that the other required documents in this list are included in the application packet. This includes the $200 e-pay receipt, the Certificate of Good Standing from the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, the Certificate of Compliance from the Massachusetts Department of Unemployment Assistance, the business structure documents, and the CORI authorization forms, and any additional pages or information for the application questions. Always make sure that all the required documents are included in your application packet before being submitted to the local licensing authorities. A blank copy of the CORI request form can be found on the Amend Your Alcoholic Beverages Retail License Change of Officers Stock or Ownership Interest page. Please fill out a CORI request form for each individual with financial or beneficial interest in the entity that is applying, and one for the proposed manager of record. This form must be notarized with the stamp or raised seal. Once you have finished your application packet and compiled all the required application materials, please submit the packet to the local licensing authorities that you are applying with. Please consult with the local licensing authorities for how they would like the application to be submitted. Please note that you may be requested to submit additional supporting documentation if necessary during the review process. Thank you for watching.